All right, everyone, welcome back to another Altered TCG Tournament Results recap. I am Chili from A Hero's Guide to Asgartha, and I'll be taking you through today's journey. So, this week we'll be looking at week ending 2nd of November 2025 tournaments. This, I believe, was the last of the AWOL tournaments that was being held as well. So, we'll have a look to see how that ended up. And let us begin then with Season 4, Week 3 on AWOL on the 27th of October. There were two undefeated heroes, and the coolest part about this is they're two heroes you probably did not expect to get wins, especially going undefeated. AQZ's Runefolk getting the win with Waru and Mac. Congratulations for Waru. A very, very cool thing to do. I'm sure it was very, very difficult for people to face this style of Waru build. We're going to go look at it in a second. And SP Leary's Cowrie and Puff getting the second undefeated spot. So congratulations there to both of you in a 117 player tournament. And we're still seeing the benefit of all this. We're still seeing Skybound Odyssey really take a big chunk of the cards being played in this tournament, which I think is fantastic with what they're doing. I hope that continues into Seeds as well, where the new cards become really well played. They become new dynamics, new ways of doing it. But let's have a look at AQZ Runefolk's Waru and Mac build. You don't see many Waru and Mac builds, so there's not much to go off to begin with here. One Council, one Quetzalcoatl, and one Robin Hood as their unique, so looking to see how they disrupt the work. And then the other thing to look at is how many of the heroes or how many of the characters being played are bureaucrats that gain sleep. So very, very interesting to see what they've got. But you can see here that it's very much spell heavy. Rune's Testament also being played to stop progressions when you don't want to progress. And then your grand endeavors to basically get a chance to move forward while also using Celebration Day at the rare, which basically stops any progression during the day. So you play out your grand endeavor first, and then you play out your Celebration Day. No one can progress at night. It's really very centric on not sabotaging, but suffocating your opponent. These games do tend to go long, but there is some strategies that people need to do in terms of how to beat this. First of all, go quick. The quicker you go, the more chance you have to beat this deck. But as we saw in this tournament, Runefolk was a winner. Nobody was able to beat this deck. And let's have a look at the three uniques. The first one being a 5/6 Robin Hood. Robin Hood doesn't get much play these days since the nerfing of the first card. The first card that was amended, that went through its nerf, was this Robin Hood. 5/6 in the unique, 3/1/3 in stats. Characters your opponent play can't cost less than 2. And note here that this is characters and not necessarily all cards. And when my expedition fails to move forward during dusk after rest, draw 3. Just let's say that again, draw 3 cards. Ridiculous. That you'll all more than likely going to draw this twice when you're able to play it out from hand and then from reserve. And if you don't even progress on the second day, you can draw another 3. So potentially 12 cards that you may be able to draw if you don't progress through this. And because of Waru's ability, it does gain sleep, so it automatically will not progress on the turn it's played, and more than likely because of its cost, you're not playing anything else. The Council being the second one, and it has the traditional Council text on it. The from arrow, from hand, or from reserve abilities of characters facing me cannot activate. When it's played from hand, it creates an Ordis Recruit token in your hero expedition. And once again, when my expedition fails to move forward, draw 3 cards. Yes, we'll say it again, draw 3 cards. This is a bureaucrat as well, so we'll be getting the ridiculous amount of sleep, the ridiculous amount of cards in their hand. You will be seeing Runefolk absolutely have all cards in his hand. 5/5 for 2/4/2 for this Council. And then the Quetzalcoatl is a 5/6, also a bureaucrat, for 3/2/2. When an opponent draws 1 or more cards or does resupply, create 2 Ordis Recruit soldier tokens in my expedition. And the same effect at dusk this time. Draw 3 cards. So this will definitely get you the 12 when it does get played. My goodness, this is insane. Absolute insanity in terms of what these uniques can do from a drawing perspective. Now, what you can do is find ways of removing it. Given their cost, it may be a little bit difficult, but not impossible. And when you are playing this style of deck, you have to be careful about what you hold to be able to remove these from the game. The hard part is with them having so much card draw, they more than likely will be able to be played a second time. So then that takes us to Carry and Puff, which was piloted by SP Leary. And congratulations again. The interesting part is you're seeing the Woolly Woolly field. I really don't build my Carry deck the way this has been done. I love the Drowsy Dodos, although only 2 common and 1 rare here. The Pan Pasiphae is a fantastic card if you're able to hold off. Cuckoo, also a fantastic card from the new set, this case. So Drowsy Dodo and Colorful Cuckoo being 2 of the cards being played, as well as Counting Sheep and Woolly Woolly Field in terms of spells and landmarks from the new set, and Moona Signet as another spell. So let's have a look at the gameplay that they had with their uniques. The first one is an Isumboshi 2/2 for 1/02. When played from reserve, if you control 3 or more characters, the next card you play this afternoon costs 1 less. And then when a character you control gains 1 or more boosts, up to 1 target character with hand cost 3 or less, other than me, gains anchored, really useful. So even though we're no longer playing Tasia, we're still doing the mass anchor on that perspective. The second one, unique, is a Muna Caregiver, 2/2 for 1/1. And when a character you control gains 1 or more boosts, up to 1 target character with hand cost 3 or less, other than me, gains anchored. And it also has the anchoring effect if you discard it from reserve. And the Chiron is your third unique, which doesn't have the same effect. So 2/2 for 0/02. When another character joins your expedition, if you control 3 or more characters, up to 2 target characters each gain 1 boost. Really, really good because they're all very low to the ground, which means you can play multiple cards. The one thing in Cowrie is you may not get the boost. So how do you get the boosts to be able to get the benefit of the mass anchoring? So that's what they're looking at as part of their game state. The other thing is having these out will really, really help them with Pasiphae, for example, being cheap. That will get the boosts when you're looking at how many cards your opponents are looking at. A slightly different build than you would in your Tasia. But congratulations. That does take us to our second tournament, League Latam, week 20 on the 27th of October. We had 30 players joining this cast. An interesting thing of note here is we had no one go undefeated, though we did have 4 players, MA221, RKC's Ricky8910, Axcabel, and After Use Aklo, all of which went 5-1, but unfortunately not undefeated for us to be able to showcase their decks. This happens a lot in League Latam. There is such closeness in terms of the deck compositions that nobody seems to go undefeated. There is a lot of opportunities to really do well, and it shows the competitiveness of this tournament. The next tournament we'll look at is Tuesday's AQZ Nook Blitz, and I do believe this is either the last or second last one. I will need to talk to Pandy to see what is going on here in terms of the ability of continuing to progress with this. We had 13 players, though, join us, so it's much smaller, and Nylene with Sierra and Oddball getting the win. And let's have a look at their no unique deck for Nylene. So you're looking at Moonlight Jellyfishes as your rares, as well as Foundry Armorers to get the additional 2/2 Brass Bugs out. Hooked and Mechanical Training makes sense. Mechanical Training is a definite must inclusion for any Sierra build if you want to trigger your landmarks multiple times. Sap Overflow being your defensive card, as well as Hooked, I guess. You can just move them from one side to another. So to ensure that 1/1 while you are getting your Brass Bug Hives out, that is always the plan for all, or for basically the majority of the competitive Sierra builds. You got Dropship in there, Abandoned Depot, and Aerolift Reef. All 3 landmarks coming out from Skybound Odyssey. Very well done, and congratulations going through the gauntlet and getting the win in the Blitz series. And you have to be very quick, and this is not a quick deck if you're playing Sierra and Oddball, given the short time that you have to be able to make your decisions in the Blitz format. Then let's look at Road to Valhalla Week 8 on the 28th of October. This is a single elimination tournament. 105 players, almost double what we had last week. So congratulations to this team of France in terms of putting this together. And the Bravos had a good friend of the program getting the win with his Azadi and Surge. And I'm sure it's the ridiculously crazy double ramp cards that he has, but we'll have a look into that. And before we do that, it looks like it is with his 3 hatters that he has as uniques. So you're using your everything you can to be able to ramp. You got your tiny gins, your mighty gins, and then I believe those hatters will give you that. You've got the Sakurabaru to stop your opponent. You've got the hunger to be played constantly. Your single Kaibara. I really love the Kaibara. Eat me energy bars to make sure things become gigantic. Rage and Cowrie's Intervention to ensure that your big Rage to bump up your big stuff, and Cowrie's Intervention to ensure that they do not get removed. Bravo's Signet being the card that has been used from the current set. So that is the only card outside. Oh, no, I was wrong. And then the Leviathan Spotters to give you more card draw when you play a card, play it from reserve, and then you can actually showcase that you've got a 4 or more cost card in hand. Valamons, I'm finding them much more used nowadays in Achati builds because of, not just in Achati, in a few of the others, because it's so strong, especially once you're able to, if you're looking to delay the game till you have 10 mana, a gigantic card for 4/4 that gives you huge upside is fantastic. And here we go. And I was absolutely right in terms of the uniques that were played by Mark. The Bravos Hatter here saw a 6/6, a 5/5, and a 5/6 Hatter. All of these have the same text. So 606, one of them, 530, and 304. And they have the text: when I leave the expedition zone, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, put the top 2 cards of your deck in your mana zone. Absolutely crazy. Um, it's interested. I think the the only difference is the 56304 Hatter says, when I leave the expedition zone, you put the top 2 cards of your deck in your mana zone. So that is probably the strongest of them all. It does not have the text that says that you must put a card from your hand in reserve. So if you are facing this deck, it is incredibly difficult once they get these Hatters going, given that when they are played twice, they will already be 4 mana above you. The only thing you can do in 2 of the 3 cases is find a way of ensuring they don't have cards in hand to be able to get that ramp. And then the other positive that you can do as you're playing against something like this is, if they have to play a card from their hand into their reserve, will that mean that they have less cards to play with? Right, they have less available to them. So you may still be able to get a 1-on-1, even though they have many more resources. They don't have as many cards. So the card draw element in his build is incredibly important. That then takes us to AQZ Nook Classic on Wednesday, the 29th of October, week 4 here. We had 41 players join us, and KNP's K Jaden got the win on Sigismar and Wingspan, and there you can see what they've got. This is a Skybound Odyssey style build of Sigismar. I love that there now is a few different alternatives. Sorin Gift of Self, getting you the draw. Saw ensuring you can progress with the boost and also getting ascended. And we are seeing the gargoyles, where's the Ascended Trooper? Ascended Trooper Gargoyle being the 2 cards from the new set that are part of this build. Keeping the attorneys, though, normally so that way you can get some level of card draw if you do not go progress, and the Ordis Messenger, a single one of, to also give you the ability of ascending and potentially progressing on one of the sides. I love the inclusion of Haven Warrior. It is overstated for its cost. Most people weren't using it earlier because of using a rare slot, but now that you're not playing as much interaction, or at least this build doesn't play as much interaction, you are able to bring it in to get that quick progression. Awesome. And that does take us then to Riftborn Nomads. There is more to the name than that, but that's what I've got. I finally got the logo from the team for the next few weeks before this tournament is actually going to be put on the side for a little bit as they focus on the Altered Team League. This is our Italian friends that are running this. So 34 players, and this was won by Hats Quicoro Zeros. Quicoro, I'm assuming it's Quicoro instead of Core Zero on Basira and Kaisermon. So congratulations going through the 34-player tournament and getting the win over Hat Easy Lopez's. And I got to see his deck tech as he was supporting Pascola. Really well done. Congratulations. Love your work, gentlemen. And let us have a look at the Basira and Kaisermon build we have and what you're looking at here. Eisenbosch making a statement here for this build. You see it sometimes you don't. Only looking at having two landmarks, the 2 Parliament of Ashes from the new set, really not going for anything else. Finding that they believe that the boosts are not needed from Havens. Really, all they're focused on here is having enough characters, and then on the other side, making sure that if they do remove your cards, they do have to pay that little bit more. Physical training, though, is in here to give you some level of card draw while also boosting some of your characters up as well. And your defense is really Duel of Grit, which is fantastic. This is the common, so it will go into reserve. Mana Eruption being the others to reduce you. But you do have a single hunger, so like every deck in Bravos does have, you're silly not to have at least one hunger available to you, but a little bit of more interaction with Suha here as well to be able to sabotage after rest. And let's have a look at their uniques. The first one being a 3/3 Foundry Armorer for 2/1. When played from reserve, you may put a card from your hand in reserve. If you do, target character gains 1 boost, and when a non-token character you control gains 1 or more boosts, create a brass bug 2/2 robot token in my expedition. This is very similar to one that I have. The second being a 3/3 Chiron for 2/1/2. And when another character joins your expedition, if you control 2 or more boosted characters, target character gains 2 boosts. And at dusk, if you control 2 or more boosted characters, draw a card. Really good, especially for mid to late game. That is fantastic. The same thing as the Foundry Armorer. And then we have an Ozma, 2/2 for 1/02. When played from anywhere, I gain 1 boost. And at dusk, if you control 2 or more boosted characters, draw a card. So you're really finding ways of getting card draw. And if you're playing against this style of deck, your best chance of eliminating the card draw is getting rid of the cards as soon as they come out so that they do not get the benefit of the at dusk triggers. The Foundry Armor is a little bit more difficult. The positive for you, if you are playing against this deck, though, is that it does not usually gain itself the boost. Unless you, especially with the builds that the way that he has it, you have to play this out first, and then it's your next card or your next condition or spell that will give the boost out there for you. But anyway, fantastic work to Quikoro on getting that win. That takes us to AWOL on Wednesday, the 29th of October. 30 players here for the Americas centered tournament, and this was won by O.R. Omus. I don't know Timo R, if that is a Timo, that's the way he spells it. Omus on Trace and Rossum getting the win, and let's have a look at what they had for us again. And really, Dr. Frankenstein and Gibble, that makes sense. Grems are using only 1 rare going for the 2 commons. Paju being the main card from the new set. 3 different uniques that I'm not used to seeing, especially with the Hound and the Lyra Chronicler. A little bit more interaction here with Boom and Avalanche as your defensive measures. And really getting that 6 to 8 landmarks is what you're seeing a lot of the Trace and Rossum builds do for this season. So this one choosing to have the Haven Bravos Bastion, your Armor Jammer to interact, Aerolith Wreath to make sure that you can remove something that they've paid for already or your opponent has paid for. And Restocking Station, more than anything, it is there for your Dr. Frankensteins to be able to get additional benefit, but you can also do it for your Grems being the other one that you're more than likely going to use the benefit on, so that you can replay cards twice when this is played out with its 2 additional tokens that you get to replay a card played from the reserve. All right, congratulations. And in terms of the uniques, the Hound 3/3 for 2/2. When played from anywhere, if you control 2 or more permanents, draw a card, otherwise resupply. And when played from reserve, if my expedition is behind, you may discard target permanent. The next one is an Amelia Earhart 3/1 and for 2/1. And if you control 2 or more landmarks, resupply. That's a tough one with the 2 landmarks. That you do have it in this deck, but it doesn't mean you can play it out pretty early. You do have to wait a little while to play that. But the resupply is very, very good. And Lyra Chronicler 3/3 for 4/05. When played from reserve, I gain 1 boost, or for its quick ability of resupply. So fantastic work. And that does take us to a new tournament I'll be looking at is ALT, so the Altered Singleton Tournament. This is week 1, played on the 30th of October by our Spaghetti Alt team. Congratulations. 52 players for the inaugural tournament. Now, this is a tournament that basically you are only allowed 1 of each card. It does not matter the rarity. You can have common, rare, or unique. You can only have 1 of them, but the deck building design of maximum 3 uniques, maximum 15 rares is still in play. Difficult to actually enforce this. I'll say that from a BGA perspective, we are hoping since the announcement that Equinox made a few weeks ago that both Singleton and also your Nook or no unique, your no unique decks can easily be accessed. That the tournament already eliminates those decks that don't meet the requirement. But we will see when that does come to pass. I do hope that it is something that they do roll out fairly soon, just to make it easier for us that are running these tournaments, that we don't have to do as much checking. The next part that I'd probably ask BGA is making sure that if someone selects a deck for a tournament, that it becomes the deck for the entire tournament. So those are my two wish lists for Christmas. Let's see if I get something like that. Now, there were two players that went undefeated in here. Sol and Halua, piloted by HOFR's Toto Chebolai, and the next one is a Sigma and Wingspan piloted by KNP's Witek. So let's have a look. Unfortunately, probably a little bit too small to see Toto Chebolai's um, deck, but very, very much this is the first iteration of this type of tournament being had. I really don't know right now what to say, but I'm looking at it from a landmarks perspective. You're using the dockyard, interesting Parliament of Ashes, and the mess as what you've got here. And I honestly am not sure. There are some, I've never played Singleton, but I do like the idea of it. I know people that play Magic. This is something you're probably more familiar with. But what is interesting for me is the amount of spell composition and landmarks. 9 out of your 39 cards are going to be spells, so one quarter. Very, very interesting in terms of how they've done this, but I really want to know how they build this. What does it look like? And I think the uniques have a lot more to say in terms of the way that they're trying to build. The first unique they have is a 4/4 Smoldering Gin for 4/3/1. When my expedition moves forward, put the top card of your deck in your mana zone, so you have to move forward to trigger the effect. And when you pass first, if I have 6 or more mana orbs, characters you control gain 1 boost. That second one is really good, especially for a 4 cost. The alt run teammate is 3/3 for 2/2/2. When played from anywhere, you may rush. If you do, I gain 2 boosts. And when you pass first, an opponent's hand contain if an opponent's hand contains more cards than yours, target character in play or in reserve gains 1 boost. That's a little bit counterintuitive. If you're trying to play quickly, you may want to play bigger cards, but I think in this case it is a little bit more lower to the ground. And the hair, which looks amazing from an art perspective, having the little tumult sign on what he's throwing. 4/4 for 4/4/2, and when played from hand, if you control a fleeting character, put the top card of your deck in mana zone. So looking for some way of getting ramp is looks like this deck is going for that. And then when played from reserve, if you're first player, put the top card of your deck in your mana zone. When my expedition moves forward, if you are first player, target player becomes first player. That's not bad. That's really, really good. A lot of good conditions. Though this hair has to be played from hand when you are going first. Sorry, when you are going second. Um, so that way, when you play it from reserve, you are first player to get the additional ramp. Okay, that is it for that one. And then we also have Witex, a Witex, Sigismar, and Wingspan build. And once again, as I am learning this, I was really surprised that Town Square is one of the cards that's been played. Grand Endeavor making an appearance in this Singleton tournament, and a lot of spells. I think this is where Sigismar may struggle a little bit more, given they're so consistent on their spells, and now you have to actually spread it out even more. You don't have in many cases enough card ramp. You don't have enough card draw. Apologies, and you also don't have enough like removal to make this work. But a Skybound Odyssey, of course, is a natural inclusion to play some cards and get an additional card draw. But yeah, congratulations to both. I really don't know what to say. I'm really surprised about the Grand Bois being there. Anubis is there, makes sense for Sigismar. I always like playing a one of. If I'm going to ever do the one of, the Anubis is always a fun one to play, especially when someone plays something huge and you have the ability of removing it purely by removing your own token. All right, in terms of the uniques, we had a 3/3 Monolith Rune Scribe for 3/2/2. When played from anywhere, if you control a token, create 2 Orders Recruit 1/1/1 soldier tokens in my expedition. A Ratatoskar for 1/3, 2/2/0, and when played from reserve, unless you have 8 or more mana orbs, create an Orders Recruit soldier token in your companion expedition. And we had a 4/2 Amelia Earhart for 3/3/3. When played from hand, if you control a token, create an Orders Recruit 1/1/1 soldier token in your hero expedition. And at the same time, when played from hand, each player sacrifices a card, so you're getting a little bit of the Anubis effect there as well. And this is really good. So, congratulations to both those winners in the inaugural Singleton event. And as we move towards the end of the week, we also had the Nook Singles Elimination Tournament, week 5, 57 players. And this was won by AJT's Insane 94, also using Trace. So we have another Trace winner. and looking at their Nook build looks very, very similar to what we had before. I'm trying to find where there is a difference, and the only thing I can think of is potentially the Keylon Elemental being used, one less spell as well. So Avalanche and Hooked being there, and Frozen Delivery, of course, to be able to get through your deck quicker, so you can trigger that Traced and Rossum build. So this also has the Bastion as its major landmarks, and of course Restocking Station, which I think has become a staple in so many of the Axiom builds as well. Anyway, that does take us to the end of the week. I am basically caught up now, which is good, and I should be releasing these on a weekly basis. My goal is a few days after the end of the week, I will release this, and that's part of the reason I do that is because I have to wait for all the tournaments to be uploaded onto 39 cards, and in many cases that can take up to normally about 5 days. I know the Nook tournaments for me, because I'm the one that loads them into 39 cards, does take me a few days. I normally release them I normally do that probably on a Wednesday. I think I need to do that earlier than that. So I may be doing that on a Sunday night following the completion of every tournament. It does take 24 to 48 hours for the stats to refresh, and then I will publish. So I'll do a little bit of a better job of getting that to you to make sure people can see those decks. I do them for the Nook tournaments as well as my very own Rapid Fire. And if you're asking why I don't talk about my Rapid Fire tournament, is try not to be. I don't. I don't need to share a little bit of those insights, but the rapid fire tournament outside of the Nook, we don't share those in here purely because we're focused more on the competitive one. My one is just a 3-round where everything else is 4 to 5, and we do have 4 winners on mine. But just as a reminder, if you do want to join us on our rapid fire tournament on Thursdays, it is at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. It is a single hour, and everyone does get an adventure pass progression for those that play. The same thing for the Nook for the Americas. I will be changing that from a Thursday at 5:30 Mountain Time to a Wednesday 4 p.m. So the same time as the Rapid Fire, but for Nook it will be on Wednesdays is what I'm going to do, and I'll see if I can get a team of casters to support me on that when I am not able to be able to be done from work on time. All right, that's it from me. Congratulations all. I hope you've enjoyed this, and hasta luego.